Welcome back to Zen. I'm Blasphemous. And yeah, these tentacle things, you remember these guys? Well, let's just try and see if the usual tricks work. Spoilers, they kinda do, but actually not. You see, beforehand, the tentacles were actually like inside a pit there, so they had room to sort of like reach around and whack things on the lower level. But here, they really don't do it as much, and as a result, yeah, it's probably easier just to run past these things rather than trying to trick them like we used to. You see? Couldn't be easier. Now then, there's another thing you need to worry about in regards to the long jump. Don't crouch off of it, at least if you can help it. Crouching preserves your momentum and sort of keeps you sliding along, so anytime you're propelled forward by like sprinting and jumping, then, well, you've seen it, then we do kind of a power slide. Well, the long jump makes the power sliding even bigger. There you see. So, this chapter is going to actually have us do something a little bit different with the Vortigaunts. Like, beforehand, you know, we'd be shooting them down with impunity, but here, it's going to be something a little bit different. And it's actually something that was in the original Interloper as well. In the very first part of the level, you'd come across an area full of Vortigaunts who wouldn't attack you and be just milling around doing their own business. And here's the thing. You probably noticed as well, like, they kind of wear these shackles and things on them. And originally they were known, at least by the game files I believe, as alien slaves. And that's basically where we're going with this, that, yeah, rather than seeing the Vortigaunts as just another enemy, then we're actually seeing them in more of a sympathetic light. And in fact, we're going to be spending the entirety of this level not killing Vortigaunts. There's even an achievement for that, believe it or not. Actually, you probably do believe it. There's an achievement for everything. Now, what are they doing here, I wonder? Ooh, crates. Alien crates. Yeah, they shatter just as easily, and it's just as fun to do so. Yeah, we'll see here that, well, the Black Mesa folks had the advantage of time, like seeing later on what the series does for the Vortigaunts, so basically they were able to see sort of how things eventually would make them sympathetic. In the original Half-Life, they were just, yeah, another enemy with hints that they were being enslaved and forced to do the bidding of their masters in Zen. But all the same, in most instances, they would still attack us in our travels through Zen. In fact, one of the very first enemies you saw when I did that very first video showing the original Half-Life Zen was a Vortigaunt. And, yeah, We shot him. We won't be shooting these folks, though, because, well... yeah, I kind of feel bad for doing so. Although, yeah. This is probably a big hint that there's a fight coming on. As soon as we press this button... So the alien controllers have a new thing that they can do now. Two new things, actually. They can telekinetically throw objects, and they can also mind control every Vortigaunt within a certain vicinity. However, killing the controller ends up freeing the Vortigaunts, so we don't need to fight them, as I said. And it's actually not too difficult to work with. Like, the controllers... you know, they're up high, and the Vortigaunts are down low. So as long as you just keep your head to the skies, then you'll never accidentally shoot one of them. And yeah, their enslavement and the fact that their minds are not their own, at least is shown in this game, to cause them a whole lot of distress. We don't ever actually see a Vortigaunt crying in the original game, but, well, honestly, I don't think it's incorrect. By the way, did you see those crates there, like we just passed by? Yeah, that's actually a secret. Sustenance. Fantastic. All the salty snacks and sugary sodas that we could ever need. And there's something written here, but we have to kind of turn it over. Man, you guys are the best, aren't you? Although, couldn't you guys get us any of those, like, you know, 3-stack things of, like, powdered donuts or something? I don't know. It just feels like our last meal on Earth being like salty chips just feels somewhat wrong. Although I guess we're not on Earth anymore, so who knows? And hey, it's Linux soda. I remember Linux soda. Yeah, that thing that exists. It's gonna turn out there's actually a Linux soda, and I'm gonna sound very stupid, aren't I? Oh, hey guys, I know what'll help get your mood back up. Okay, didn't do anything. Well, how about a drink? I don't think they're interested. Oh well. Let's keep moving. So, I mentioned before that we'd be infiltrating a factory, but even in the original Interloper, there was actually an extended outdoors sequence where we'd have to do some platforming over, you know, little floating platforms, and at one point we even had to ride on the back of a manta ray. That was, well, it sounds cool, but actually landing the jump ended up being a little bit, like, rough. Especially since, you know, falling damage was in the game, so if you made a jump that was onto a platform it wasn't supposed to be onto, then yeah, you get yourself hurt. And all the while you'd be getting shot at by Vortigaunts on the ground below, and yeah, it wasn't a good time. It's behind the waterfall, stupid. Yes, thank you. Actually, it's not much of a waterfall, more like kind of like a rapids or something. I don't know what you would call it, sort of like sea foam. What kind of water is this anyway? Probably not safe to drink, whatever it is. And I hope we're not wading through poo water again. I don't know if you heard it, but I think I heard a bit of like a far off in the distance roar. I couldn't tell you for sure though. But we're gonna hear it now. Yeah, it's time for a big gargantua chase scene. And not just one. No, sir. I'll just let the sequence speak for itself. That whole sequence there, there's an achievement for getting through it without taking any damage, and unfortunately I did take a fiery hound eye to the face, so not for me this time, sorry to say. And most of these lines from the voice in our head are actually from the original game, but there's this one particular one that was omitted for some reason, and I think it's actually the one that's most interesting of all.
Their slaves we are, their slaves we are.
They say, slaves, we are slaves. Not they, not the Vortigaunts, but we. Whoever is in charge is a slave as well. But a slave to whom? And has he always been a slave? Or are they hiding from somebody? It's food for thought, stuff that's going to be answered when Half-Life 2 comes around. But it ended up causing quite a little bit of speculation among people who played this game, and the game hadn't yet come out. And now, here we are. At least in one factory. Though there's something a little bit unusual about it. Yeah, they appear to be pumping a sort of green liquid. And you saw those Vortigaunts teleporting away to somewhere. Yeah, I'm just going to lay it out to you. Whatever's going on here, Soylent Green is Vortigaunts. And they have Vortigaunts working on these devices. Just kind of chew on that for a little bit. The general theme of this is that we have to connect these devices by taking power from other things around the area in order to make the pumps go higher and let us advance. I don't know what these things are, like cooling fans or something? Well, whatever that's going on, these Vortigaunts I guess will have to go without air conditioning for a little while. We've got a job to do. I don't know if they're actually complaining, since I don't understand Vortigese. But, you know, they're not trying to stop us, so... whatever. Also, you might have seen these things, like these green canisters. They're basically like exploding barrels, and we'll be seeing them employed as such by alien controllers in the future. We could theoretically employ them ourselves, but yeah, they're up there, and it's kind of hard to get a barrel up there, you know? Now this is kind of interesting. This one here has a green plug in the center. Well, we've only been working with orange power cords so far. So we're going to have to do something a little bit more creative, I guess. No, this one's orange as well. But you see that device there? That one kind of tucked off a little bit to the right. Yeah, that's the color. Oh dear. We appear to be doing something wrong. But, oh, here's the problem. I think we can just fix this. Yeah, see? Everything's fine. At least, I assume so. I actually have no idea what speeding up or slowing down the pumps even does in terms of production. So, here's another bit of a puzzler. Obviously that thing is there to deploy the green wire, but what about the side wires? Well, we're gonna have to go through this oddly sewn up cave wall. Yeah, I kind of get the feeling like whatever this factory is inside of, it ain't rock. By the way, have you been hearing that? Those little shrieks to kind of indicate that, yeah, alien controllers are close and they aren't happy. Most likely they've been kind of noticing that the machinery has been going haywire because there's a bit of a fly in the machinery. That's alright though. If there's one thing that I've noticed, it's that our theoretical physics skills mostly relate to just breaking things. notice that I'm using the glue-on gun pretty liberally. It's because, well, the theme of this chapter is going to be that... passing car, great. The theme of the chapter is going to be that our heavy equipment is pretty much the only one we can actually reliably use because... Another passing car, wonderful. Okay, anyway, the reason is the supply canisters are about to start really slowing down, and so there's got to be a mechanism in order to help us use our experimental weaponry more, but bullets are about to become a lot rarer. Alrighty, so, time to go through the bowels of the machinery. Man, like how many things would you have to juice in order to get this much green stuff? Like, I'm not going to be talking about realism or anything, but... like, if the process involves infusing, like, I don't know, liquefied vortescence or something into things... there'd have to be, like, entire colonies that we're not seeing of Vortigaunts. Alright, so this one's already malfunctioning. And so, what we'd actually have to do is we've already got to find the kind of blockage area, whatever that you call that. But I ended up missing it the first time around, and I had to go back in order to do a redo. Which I would have probably just edited out, except for the little bit where you had to, you know, whack the vent in order to get it to open. That's not something that... well, honestly, I probably could have just done it without that, and you never would have noticed, but I feel like that wouldn't have been a true experience. Oh, well, now this is new. It looks like we've gotten past the mixing vats, and now it's going to be time to check out something new. I'm not going to lie to you, like, I get a little bit nervous in this area. Not because, you know, of any particular monster, just in general, this game's sort of trained me to be jumpy with any sort of deep water. Yeah, no ichthyosaurs in this area. I'm just being paranoid. Now then, what's it all for? Like, why are they blending up Vortigaunts? Well, it's because Vortigaunts are grunts. Yeah, that's actually how this game works. Like, that's how it was originally. That grunts are actually mutated Vortigaunts. They're artificial soldiers. And that's also coincidentally why, after we get out of the Half-Life 1 portion of the series, we're not going to be seeing grunts ever again, because, well, I suppose it's got to be spoilers or something, but yeah, this factory is going to go kablooey at some point. I mean, let's face it, it's Gordon Freeman. If something didn't explode after he passed through it, then there'd be something wrong. of course, as we know, the hive hand is a separate alien organism, so they're cultivated here in order to be implanted into the subject afterwards. You see, it's all a big logical system. That teleportation you just heard is actually a canister at the top being teleported in. Which, well, we can go for that if we want to. I tell you what though, like, this version of Interloper is a whole lot more generous than the original game. Like, ammo starvation is actually a pretty big problem in Interloper, especially after coming off the Gonarch, which is a fight that's just like a giant bullet sponge. Like, it is highly probable that you'll be ending that chapter with almost nothing to work with, and you'll be having to scrape by with whatever happens to be handy. Like, assault rifle ammunition is, well, not assault rifle, MP5, but regardless, yeah, like your basic submachine gun is actually like really hard to find ammunition for at this point. And that's kind of problematic because it's a pretty reliable weapon in this game, at least. Alright, so this section here. Yeah, you gotta be a bit careful on this because these platforms are very difficult to move around on. And, well, yeah, that can happen. Like, you can just kind of bounce off them. So, we see these pipes here, yeah? And that's obviously where the blockage will be once we overload them. But where are we supposed to go in order to overload them? Well, you might have seen it. There was this vent up here at the top. Really, honestly, like in the Black Mesa version of Interloper, if you just hop into a vent, it'll probably be the right way to go. And now, here we are with another wire and plug puzzle. But the trick here is that while it presents you these plugs here at the top, you don't actually have the means in order to get the wires until you drop down and solve the issues on the bottom level. Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it? I'm always nervous that these things are going to raise me up right into the ceiling. It's going to go smoosh. Not a lot of them do, actually, but they always give you the impression that they might. Now then, step 1. And that's step 2. And actually pulling the wire gives us access to that spinny chamber, which is, well, not so spinny. See, it all kind of all works together. Like, Interloper, because of the ammo starvation and the fact that you're under fire from alien controllers all the time, it can actually feel like kind of a drag in the original Half-Life 1, but as far as Zen levels go, I think it might actually be the best Zen level in this game. And that's quite an achievement, I think. Like, it just has so much variety, and yet everything naturally works together towards a specific goal. And of course, the game gives you a whole lot more lasers, so, you know, you can never go wrong with lasers. So then, everything's overloaded, and obviously you can't ride on the platforms because they're now electrified, so, yep, gotta make a mad leap towards the pipes here. One down, and would you look at that, the other one is just in sight. There we go. Everything's back to normal. Except they're now going up at a really, like, manic pace. And yeah, physics are in play here. Like, if you're not secured, then you can actually get sent flying by these things. Or just fly short because you're an idiot. Try and pretend you didn't see that. So, what kind of an organism are we even inside of? Or is it an organism? Or is Zen just naturally made of flesh? That's a lovely thought, isn't it? So then, we've seen this, right? Sort of in reverse, though. With the rocket chamber, you remember, like, there are these things you had to climb out of in order to get to the outside ring? Well, now we're in the outside, and we have to work our way inward. And we need us a barrel. It's a good thing this stuff isn't toxic. Like, we're still not wearing a helmet after... Oh! Yeah, we should probably get out of here. And it's so weird how they all look kind of like grayish in their like prototype-ish form. It's like you have to kind of add color and armor plating later or something. Like, I kind of wonder, like, where in these stages that? Like, do they go into this one chamber where they just get splatted with paint or something? Yeah, spoken as someone who really doesn't know how, you know, alien life cycles work. So then, lasers. I suppose I shouldn't have to mention, but yeah, there's another achievement in this game based on dodging lasers. And it won, that one, that is, it won. What is that? Anyway, this one goes in the entire chapter. That you have to go through the entire chapter without ever crossing a laser. They don't kill you, of course, but they will give you a little bit of a burn. You might think this is a bit of a waste, but there actually aren't any, like, alien tanks or something. So actually, like, using rockets is completely fine, since what we're going to be seeing from here on out are going to be, like, grunts and controllers. Two things that are fairly sturdy and go down pretty quickly if you hit them with a rocket to the face. So, don't be afraid to go just completely crazy with all the heavy weaponry. And in fact, like, the lighter weaponry is actually sort of, well, more of a liability now. This room. I don't know what this room is for. It looks like it should be important, but it doesn't do anything. Moving right along. You know what else isn't around anymore? Like, at least I haven't ever seen them. Snarks. Like, I haven't actually seen a snark ammo refill at all. And you'd think that you'd see more snarks, this being, you know, Zen itself. Yeah, you see, like, our submachine gun is, well, I'm not going to say useless, like, we still got the grenades, but they're definitely, whoa. Well, that was unexpected. But yeah, like, the amount of damage that you can do with the SMG is just not worth using it. It's just too weak now. I suppose it's rather telling that, yeah, the supply canisters don't even really give ammunition for it anymore. Instead, they want you to be using weapons like, yeah, your laser weapons, your, like, rocket weapons, maybe like satchel charges. But yeah, no SMG. The SMG gets no love. Oh yeah, also the Magnum. Like, the Magnum is cool. Although I don't know, like, I recall hearing that, originally anyway, landing a headshot with a Magnum would insta-kill a controller, but I haven't really been able to achieve the same amount of success. You know what I feel is actually kind of missing from this arsenal? Like, okay, so we have, like, our rapid fire weapon, our explosive weapons. We got way too many explosive weapons. We got our exotic weaponry. But you know, like, there's this one staple that I really feel that we're kind of lacking. You know, I guess I'll get more on that later, because right now we've got ourselves green crystals. And yeah, they do precisely what it appears that they're doing. It's infinite ammunition for any weapon that uses power. With all the fun that entails. You can kind of tell why it is that I'm calling Interloper the best level of this the particular part of the game. Because yeah, we're going to be seeing these things more often, and that's going to be meaning that it's just going to be ridiculously frenetic battles where we're just going to be blasting them with as many lasers as possible. And let me tell you, I do enjoy a good laser gun. So, you know the weapon that we are actually lacking? A flamethrower. I don't think we ever actually get a flamethrower either. So, you know, Half-Life 3 comes around. Ball's in your court, Valve. see me a little bit confused here because I didn't realize that this vent is also blowing outwards. I get it eventually. But on that note, it's time for us to end our first part. You know, this one's going to be another two-parter, so I'll see you guys again next time. You have a good evening now, alright?